There is a drug that is harming you and destroying your life, and you may not even know it. This drug is known as pornography. When it comes to any discussion, it's important to define our terms and what we mean by them. So I have a thesis here to present to you that I will break down each term and understand how we are all on the same page. So the thesis is that pornography is harmful because it damages you psychologically, it damages your relationships, and it damages society as a whole. I would define pornography as content created for the purpose of a third party to consume for sexual arousal and enjoyment, whether it be books, movies, videos, pictures, or what have you. Though specifically, I'm going to be more focused on the common understanding of pornography, the video side of things. So, all the other categories probably apply to this argument as well. So, when I mean it's harmful, I would say that this thing, pornography, causes harms in three ways because it inhibits your psychological flourishing and mental happiness by damaging your mental health, and inhibits relationship because porn causes loss of love between spouses and it encourages cheating. Overall, porn will block you from having the best relationship with your spouse. It's harmful to society because of the nature of the porn industry itself and contributions to human trafficking, which we will get into. Now, for the psychological damage, it harms your mental health, it ruins your dopamine receptors, and it causes a slippery slope into more depraved fantasies and content. It damages your mental health. So, on a study done at Zagazig University in Egypt for nursing students, they had these findings. The impacts of porn included these red flags. 36.8% had extremely severe anxiety, 16.7% had extremely severe depression, and nearly 1 in 5 students had severe or extremely severe stress. Overall, distress scores were high at 48.87. Higher porn addiction was linked to lower social ability, cooperation, and self-discipline, along with greater emotional instability. And heavy viewers, those with more than 5 hours a week, scored the lowest in personality traits and highest in distress. And then another thing is that it can also fuel your mental health issues. A number of peer-reviewed studies have found a link between pornography consumption and mental health outcomes like depression, anxiety, loneliness, lower life satisfaction, poor self-esteem, and overall mental health. These studies have found that these links are particularly strong when pornography is used to try to escape negative emotions or cope, and also when pornography consumption becomes heavy and compulsive. People in modern society already struggle a lot with mental health issues, but the overall research and studies show that porn will even do that to a greater level. So if you already struggle with mental health, then you're just adding fuel to the fire. Another psychologically damaging thing porn does to you is what I would call the secret slope. It's no secret that porn will fry your dopamine receptors. Dr. Donald Hilton explains that, quote, it's the overuse of the dopamine reward system that causes addiction. When the pathways are used compulsively, a downgrading occurs that actually decreases the amount of dopamine in the pleasure areas available for use, and the dopamine cells themselves start to atrophy or shrink. The reward cells in the nucleus accumbens and are now starved for dopamine and exist in a state of dopamine craving as a downgrading of dopamine receptors on the pleasure cells occur as well. This resetting of the pleasure thermostat produces a new normal. In this addictive state, the person must act out an addiction to boost the dopamine level sufficient just to feel normal. What this means is this. You may start out with what you could call the normal stuff, even though it's all gross. Male, female engaging in the sexual act. But eventually, your brain will not get the same high that you got those first few times watching that sort of content. And so then you tend to seek out more extreme forms of porn and perverted fantasies, turning to more aggressive and abusive acts depicted, gay pornography, or trans pornography even. And this is where it gets even more scary. It can actually lead people to look at pedophilia material. So this is how depraved and gross it can get. Now, some people will call out and say that I'm committing the fallacy of the slippery slope, but here's the thing. People can say it's a slippery slope fallacy, but when people are actually going down the slope, then it's not a fallacy anymore. This is not to say that everyone with a porn addiction has gone on to the deep end and become a pedophile like that, but this serves as a warning that it can be a gateway drug leading into that direction overall. Do you really want to expose yourself to this drug is the big question you need to ask yourself. So if porn is so dangerous it can lead you to becoming a person that your current self would not even recognize, then are you sure this is the stuff that you want to consume? So that is on the psychological levels of why porn is harmful for you and is destroying your life. Now, porn also destroys and harms your relationships. I'm only talking about relationships between you and your significant other. So here are some statistics from the University of Utah compiling various studies for us. So for in the context of relationship, it says that porn users face difficulty to become sexually aroused without pornography. User lose interest and engages in fewer sexual experiences with partner. May be correlated with increased behaviors of hooking up and infidelity. Partner feels sexually inadequate and threatened. Partner may feel that certain sexual activities desired by user are objectionable. Both user and partner experience decreased relationship satisfaction and emotional closeness. Relationship trust decreases due to dishonesty and deception about porn use. Both user and partner experience lower relationship satisfaction and stability, less positive communication, and more psychological aggression between partners. One or both partners may be concerned about children's exposure to pornographic materials. So you fall out of love with your significant other and can't make love without pixels on a screen. It'll create for you a mental haram of women with bonds of fidelity to your so your bonds of fidelity to your significant other will wear thin. Not to mention that viewing porn in and of itself is already cheating. Your porn use makes your significant other feel less because how do you expect them to compete with all the seemingly perfect women that you view on the screen? And since porn encourages aggressive behavior, it's likely to begin to pressure your significant other in the bedroom as such. So porn is an overall negative effect to your relationship with your significant other. Do you truly love your significant other? Are they your person? You should only have the heart for them and not pixels on a screen. And then porn is also bad for society in general. We already see that by the simple fact that it harms an individual, then it would also harm the most basics of relationship, marriage, and the family. But now let's see how the industries in particular damages society. This is where you enter into the crimes of MindGeek. MindGeek is the big owner of all the porn websites. They own Pornhub and its affiliates. What MindGeek really owns is a tragic crime scene on Pornhub. In Louis Perry's book, The Case Against the Sexual Revolution, she documents the following, which is difficult to comprehend. Quote, the Internet Watch Foundation has so far confirmed 118 cases of children being sexually abused on Pornhub. 14-year-old Rose Kalemba was gang raped at knife point. Footage of the attack was posted on Pornhub and viewed more than 400,000 times. Kalemba contacted the site repeatedly over a period of 6 months, asking for the video to be removed, but with no success. Meanwhile, Pornhub continued to profit from the footage of her assault. You don't need to go into the dark web in order to access this material. It's available on the biggest, most mainstream porn site in the world. End quote. This is to illustrate a quick glimpse of the gross practices that go on within the industry. The number of sexual abuse cases should be zero, but the fact that they were filmed and made for profit by mainstream companies is even more dark and despicable. These videos would not be made unless there were a demand for it, and this connects back to the point I made earlier about the slippery slope. These videos are on Pornhub because there are depraved people seeking them out. Another harmful thing for society porn does is that it targets children. That is their agenda. And you can deduce this by simply looking at the fact that when in recent months and years, a state requires age verification for Pornhub, they just won't have their websites in that state anymore. That is so suspicious and obvious as to what they're doing to anyone with at least 2 brain cells if they're leaving states that require 18 and up age verification. The country of France did a study on the most popular porn sites and found some shocking discoveries. 88% of the 50 most viewed videos depicted physical aggression. 48% of the most viewed displayed acts of verbal aggression. 90% of these videos contained real physical, sexual, verbal violence against women, making them punishable by French law. And 1.4 million videos contained sadistic or sexist sexual violence, and 1.5 million included racist categories. The women in the porn industry are being abused and put through the worst of the worst harms. This is an industry built on violence and the dehumanizing of women for the sake of satisfying the loser watching on his computer screen. There are many heartbreaking stories to read that you can find all over the internet of the harms and dangers that these people have gone through. Not only do we see that porn damages your mental health, but it also damages the mental health of the people forced and coerced into creating content even more so. High suicide rates. I believe that the average porn star dies at 36 years old because of all the psychological damage that they've gone through. It is undeniable that porn is harmful to society by how it harms children, our most vulnerable and precious people in society, and how it harms the regular people even creating the content. It's a bad industry, bad for your mental health, and bad for relationships. If you struggle with this, don't feel ashamed to seek the help you need. I really hope this episode has opened a lot of people's eyes to the many problems with pornography in general. And to end, this is more of an argument relying heavily on pathos or emotions, but watching porn is just lame. So that's one reason why you shouldn't do it. There's so many things that you can do with your life. You can start a business, you can work out, get a girlfriend or boyfriend, work hard, write a book, do something productive with your life. You don't have to spend your life and precious time getting off by looking at pixels on the screen in your mother's basement. Start a business in your mother's basement instead. It's honestly just a loser activity, so I recommend stop losing today and start winning. Get a porn blocker, talk to a trusted friend, and do what needs to be done. And until next time, I wish you all the best.